Hello again, rivals. This is Xonia, and you are in the zone. Before we start this clan review today, I just want to say, I hope you've enjoyed the new rollout of the new site. I've given all of my thoughts on a different video. I'll go ahead and have that pop up here in the top right-hand corner if you want to go check those out. But otherwise, I just wanted to let you know that for these clan reviews, the only thing that will be changing will be the style of the card artwork. I will be changing the visuals over starting from the next video. See, this video I already finished before the new site came out, so I've actually already done all of the work and all of the visuals. However, I will not be using the old card artwork anymore after this video, unless I'm using it to kind of show a then and now kind of thing between the two. So I just wanted to let you know that ahead of time. You can expect to see these the same format. These will be the only difference being the visuals of the cards themselves. So without further ado, let's get started. Today we'll be taking an in-depth look at the Freaks clan. I must admit, I'm not such a fan of this clan. The reason, however, is probably not what you're thinking. See, I hate this clan because I hated their missions. Specifically, Cassandra. Cassandra is a wonderful card, but she has my least favorite mission in the entire game. 250 round wins. Are you kidding me? It took me I tried to finish her mission like 3 times, and it made me stop trying to be a mission hunter for the longest time. It's absolutely ridiculous, even though she's a great card. Anyway, ultimately, I feel the Freaks are a clan that works really well for a certain playstyle, and maybe not so well for those who don't build their decks and handle their cards in that certain style very well. Let's just say I'm perhaps in the latter group, because I generally feel that this clan has no real niche in UR, no real place where they really perform well. If they were Toxin 2 Min 3 instead of Poison 2 Min 3, then my opinion might greatly differ for them. Anyway, let's get into it for today. Today we'll be covering their theme, a breakdown of their stars and rarities, the cost, damage clan comparisons, their bonus, a breakdown of the power and damage, LD, CR, Miss Noel, and RB cards, yellow bands, breakdown of their abilities, my favorite card, the best and worst, underestimated cards, deck examples, any extra info, and some clan comparisons. First, let's take a look at the theme of the Freaks. The theme of the Freaks is the circus. We've got human cannonballs, bearded women, lion tamers, strongmen, and of course, a ringmaster. They even have a cute panda. I mean, in all honesty, I really like the theme for this clan, even if I'm unsure if a bunch of quote-unquote circus freaks could ever actually take over a city. And then I take a look at Titus and I say, okay, never mind, they probably can. Right, next, let's take a look at the breakdown of their stars and rarities. The Freaks clan contains 13 2-star cards, 23 star cards, 12 4-star cards, and 10 5-star cards. It has 12 rares, 21 uncommons, and 17 common cards. Of the 55 cards, 48 still retain some usefulness in today's meta, meaning that 7, in my opinion at least, are no longer useful. Freaks is almost in a class of its own, but it is slightly comparable with Berserk, given their damage minimums and basically one-time use bonus. So for the rest of this video, we'll be comparing Freaks with Berserk. Next, let's take a look at the cost. As you can see, the Freaks are actually a fairly expensive clan. The Freaks have very cheap rares, but their uncommon and common cards are quite expensive. This makes sense if you think about it, as people want expensive rares in their packs. But without expensive rares, less packs will be bought containing the Freaks clan, so their uncommon and common cards will eventually rise in price. The Freaks aren't a very popular clan then, as you can see, in comparison with all of the others. However, they still cost about 233,000 clints for all of the classic cards. So if you follow my video for daily clints earning, you should be able to easily earn about 1,000 clints a day, and that should be floating around up here in the top right, without too much effort. So that means it'll take about 233 days, or about 7.5 months, to collect everything in this clan with minimum efficient effort. And as always, if you're lucky with your daily commons, put in more effort for your DTs, or anything else like that, then clearly you should be able to earn the entire clan a bit faster. Of course, this also assumes that you want every single card in the clan. Next, let's take a look at the cross-clan comparison. Now when you compare the Freaks against the hard and fast damage clans, which you can check my other videos for, I'll go ahead and throw a link up here now as well again, you may notice that they follow a very similar pattern to La Junta, having abysmally low power and damage, and being ridiculously easy to wipe the floor with as far as base stats go. With the strength of their bonus, one would expect to have abnormally low damage. However, they also tend to have some pretty shaky base power values as far as base power goes. Their abilities, however, are quite good ones to make up for this fact. So, you can expect Freaks cards to have relatively bad base power and damage, but excellent abilities and a potent damage over time bonus, allowing their wimpy 2 and 3-star cards to pack a huge punch too. This means that using Freaks as a low-star half-deck for ELO is not a bad idea, and actually quite common, especially if you can land one of their low-star cards early. Freaks have amazing 5-star cards as well, with amazing base stats. And then basically everything else is lacking without their abilities. So Freaks' 5-star cards should hold up just fine in T2. This translates into the Freaks clan being potentially one of the most influenced clan by SOA and SOB, with only All-Stars and La Junta, of the clans that I've already calculated totals for, being affected more. It also means they'll pack some of the biggest punches when it comes to abilities in the entire game. Next, let's address the issue of the Freaks bonus. As always, the Freaks bonus is both a blessing and a huge curse for this clan. Let's start with the good, and then go with the bad. As for the good, their bonus pretty much makes all of their cards openers. This means that you will always have a strong round 1 card, and with many of them, you can sometimes make your match 50-50 after round 1. This is extremely dangerous for opponents, as there is literally no information or feeling to go off of, aside from perhaps your level, especially if they're the one leading round 1. Will they go in big, or do almost nothing? If they're wrong, you could win after round 1. Freaks bonus also means that they're somewhat immune to DR, at least early round. Also, as before, it turns their low-star cards into powerhouse damage dealers, the longer the game lasts, too. As for the downsides, since everything's a strong opener, it means you have very few strong closers. A lot of Freaks closers have been ELO banned particularly because of this fact. You may find yourself also awaiting a long, slow, painful death if you guess wrong on round 1 and way overpill, or get your bluff called. As with Berserk, late round DR can completely crush your deck's 2-hit KO chances though. You also can get stuck at a poison minimum of only 3, which is quite high, and have a bonus that's only good once, and only really good when played to win early. This makes your plays slightly more predictable, as most people will know that you want to win round 1 or round 2. They will also know that since you do damage over time, you can't KO them on the next round usually, round 2. Or, if you win, then you'll nullify your bonus's, well, bonus. This means they can generally play round 2 with only 1 to 2 pills in safety, and force you to either waste pills and nullify your own bonus, or let them get an easy win on round 2. If you went in big to guarantee your poison, then an easy win on round 2 means they could potentially secure 2 rounds, which may be enough to KO you before you can even use your closer. This is one reason that manipulation, both attack and pill, are important for Freaks, and why Grudge is ELO permabanned. He could be played with few pills just to prevent an easy round 2 win, and then regain those pills. Of course, he could also be played round 1, and you could gain a few of those pills back too. Either way, this is the same reason why Madelone has recently shot up in price. She essentially does the same thing, only she removes your opponent's pills. The bonus of the Freaks actually tends to turn them into a very predictable clan, and the only way to remove that is to play as if you don't have the bonus. However, that betrays your own cards, as they take massive penalties to base stats because of their bonus, and playing without it is like SOBing yourself for the whole game. Then imagine what happens when this clan faces SOA as well. That's why the Freaks fare a bit better in T2. However, they do lack the attack manipulation to force pills. Even though they have excellent DR, their SOA is pretty much useless, since Splata CR is well out of the normal person's reach, and Bogdan is ELO banned basically forever. So overall, Freaks often find themselves without a home. But with new additions like Arturo, perhaps they'll be able to stage a comeback soon. Let's take a look at a breakdown of the power and damage. Since many clans have an average of 4 to 5 damage, and because their bonus is damage related, Freaks should tend to have a lower base damage than most other clans. However, their base power should be high, or they should have really good abilities, because they're not a power or attack manipulation clan. So let's take a look at a breakdown for their power. If you remember my criticisms for FPC, then this should be relatively quick. Things don't look great because a ton of the Freaks cards are quite low on power. Their 5-star cards really shine, but everything else is kind of a horrible mess. This most likely means that a good bit of the abilities in Freaks are power related, which, as we already know, is true. So the best cards in this clan will generally be 8 power with a good solid ability, like Splata CR, Bogdan, Olga, Grudge, and Hindelga, or 6 to 7 power with a strong ability, like Shazam, Madelon, and Archero. One fact in the good, better, best cards will be how solid each card's damage is, and whether it will remain strong in later rounds as a finisher, since we actually have to consider most of the Freaks cards without their poison bonus. Again, their 5-star cards look great, and everything else looks pretty bad. This is to be expected with such a potentially strong bonus. A fun fact here, if you notice, DOCR, a 3-star, has a higher base damage than any of these Freaks 4-star cards ever. They seem to be capped at 5. See, this is one of my inherent issues with Freaks. With their bonus minimum of 3, you'll need at least 3 damage in round 4 for that 2-hit KO. Clearly, this is bad in T2, but it could work in T1. It's even better in ELO. But in T1 or Tourney, your 4-star cards all sit at 5 damage or less, except for one card, Mamoon, who I wasn't going to use even if she wasn't horrible. So we've got 4 to 5 damage to get that KO. That means a DR of 3 will stop you from getting that 2-hit KO, and you'll need to Fury. That's just ridiculous, and quite bad for the Freaks. Cards like Melvin, Bert, heck, even Spiaggi can completely shut you down. So as an avid 2-hit KOer, that simply won't do for me. It's just not my preferred playstyle. At the end of the day, I'm left with a 7-4 with Poison. That's actually pretty good. The problem is that you are a conditional 7-4 that tends to give away exactly what your game plan is, simply by existing, naturally. So we've got strong cards, but our tactics are going to be pretty obvious with this clan. So you have 2 means of dealing with this problem. 1, exploit what they think by playing the opposite of what they are thinking. And 2, exploit what they think by playing even more pills. The choice is yours, just don't do the obvious thing all the time, and be careful not to overpill. Next, let's take a look at the LD, CR, Miss, Noel, and RB cards. Freaks LD is Bikini Joe LD. This 3-star is not bad at all. His stats have changed since its original release, and I'd say he's gotten even better. He's not amazing, but he'll get the poison in, which may be all you really needed. He's a decent card, but not a powerhouse. Still, I definitely suggest getting him when he rolls around. Freaks currently has 4 CRs. Boris CR, Dio CR, Gunnar CR, and Splata CR. The Freaks' first CRs were Gunnar CR and Splata CR, which both went CR on November 12th, 2007. Dio CR followed on December 10th, 2007. And finally, 7 years later, Boris CR was the most recent on January 13th, 2014. Now, Dio CR and Gunnar CR are both pretty horrible cards. There's little reason to own them unless you're looking to fill out your collection, either the whole collection or your Freaks collection. So, you'll basically never see them in play. Boris CR is the clan's leader though, and a card that I feel has been overlooked for a long time by many people. His ability is absolutely amazing, even if he's very shaky against SOA. He's just a pretty cool 3-star card all around. He's not the best ever, but I'd still say he's quite strong today. Finally, we have the untouchable Splata CR. Splata CR is one of those pinnacles of the old school CUR cards. He's a monster. He's not the Big 5, but he's one of the oldest and most expensive non-Big 5 CRs. With a price tag of just around 1 million now, you also won't see him that often. He is one of the few CRs that not only went early, but is still a playable CR today, which has caused his price to continue to rise. As for miscards, well, the Freaks currently have no miscards. They do, however, have one Noel card, Olga Noel, from 2008, the second Noel card. A slightly different take on Olga, Olga Noel was a pretty strong card back in the day, with 9 power. Nowadays, she's still not bad. Not amazing, but not bad. She's good for newer players. As for RBs, Freaks has none right now, but They will soon enough, I'm sure. As for ELO bans, FPC currently has 3 permabanned ELO cards: Bogdan, Grudge, and Olga. As a side note, Splata CR and Madelon have also popped off the player bans list for forever too. Thankfully, this should allow you access to most of the clan's cards, which means that you can use almost everything in this clan, which is excellent for beginners. Now, let's take a look at a breakdown of the abilities and conditions. Due to the Freaks having such a unique bonus, they are one of only 2 clans to basically run the gamut of the game's abilities. They have Power Manip, Attack Manip, Damage Manip, Pill Manip, Manip, and basically everything else in between. With 14 power-related abilities, 11 damage-related, 7 attack-related, and 6 pill-related, they can fit just about anything that you'd like. Points of note are that the Freaks are absolutely stacked in the minus power, DR, and minus pills departments. Their plus power is a bit lacking, but still has a few decent cards, and their plus damage is basically gone. Their pills cards are great, but more certainly wouldn't hurt this clan. Keep an eye out for really good plus damage cards, or a plus pills card that won't immediately get ELO banned. They could also benefit from an accessible SOA that isn't ELO banned, or any low star SOB with decent power. I also look for a few cancel cards in their future, which could become extremely deadly, depending on their stats and what they cancel. Let me just put it this way: we're really lucky that Matryoshka is protection attack and not cancel attack. This clan has a lot of potential for some really nasty cards, so always keep a close watch on the Freaks. They could come back into the ELO forefront with just one more powerful solid release. As for conditionals, the Freaks are almost completely conditional free. The majority of their conditionals are defeat, which is a great condition, even if the cards themselves may not be that great. And it should leave you in a great position to play what you want whenever you want to. In that respect, the Freaks are a really good clan for beginners, like bangers, due to their lack of conditionals. I still hesitate to recommend them fully though, just because I don't prefer them myself. However, I definitely recommend you give them a try and see if they're your clan. As for my favorite card in Freaks to play with is definitely Olga. Outside of Olga, well, maybe no one else. Olga is one of those cards that just makes you smile. She's like a 3-star Ong. She's basically better overall if played on round 1 too. Her min is ridiculously low, she's practically immune to DR, and she has a massive 8 base power. She even eats most Uluwatsu cards alive. There's a really good reason that she's been ELO banned almost forever. She is a monster. As far as 3-star cards go, she's one of the cream of the crop. Just check out my top 25 3-star cards video, and you'll see how highly I value her. Go pick up a copy right away if you know what's good for you. I mean, look at her. She's a better splash card than some of your normal 3-star cards with their bonus, for crying out loud. Next, let's take a look at the best and worst cards in the clan, according to their star count and then rarity. Again, these choices are subjective. They're just my own personal opinion. If you disagree, feel free to leave a comment below telling me who you think the best and the worst are. Up next, if I had to reveal my personal diamonds in the rough, I'd have to say Dakun and Soshi. That's right, Incubus, I said it, Soshi. Dakun is 8-5 with the defeat ability to return 3 life. Not bad at all. I guess you could say I love forks more than knives. See what I did there? Because Dakun's an excellent fork. I love the feeling of making your opponent wonder just what in the world you're doing. Dakun is built like an attacker, with the ability of a defender, which normally I wouldn't like. He's a horrible T1 card, but in T2 he can be used on round 2 to fake or go for a 2-hit KO attempt. If all else fails, you can lead him for the same effect. Getting 3 life back is generally enough to do the job that you'd have wanted a DR to do anyway. Leading him round 2 fulfills both of his roles perfectly, meaning that you're not giving away your tactics. He needs to be led first. And he's not real DR, so you have to be careful about that defeat plus life damage, so you don't want to play him late. but he's also built like a linebacker, so he looks like you could be attacking too. Rhino is much like Dakun, but he's the better follow-up on round 3, when you need DR to stop them from potentially KOing you. Throw both in a row, and your opponent only has to mess up once in order to give you the win. Soshi, to be entirely honest, he is a horrible card on his own. However, when placed in a poison plus DR deck, when placed in a poison and DR deck, he's an amazing little 2-star card. Do you know how many 2-star cards can DR for 3? Go ahead, take a guess now, because I'm about to tell you the answer. Have you got your guess ready? The answer is 17. Ashley or Ashley RB, a Confident Snorker, Peg, Venile CR, Mono Sabia, Winston, Ricardo, Spiaggi, Artis, Ella, Astopt Ivana, Arno, Nabo, Klaus, Redra, and Nilo. The average power and damage of those cards is 5.75 over 2.5, after taking the power and damage modifiers into consideration with their base stats. However, attack modifiers, SOA, or SOB are not taken into account in those calculations. Soshi is a 6-7 on round 1, 6-5 on round 2, or 6-3 on round 3. Even on round 3, as a 6-3, Soshi beats the average of most of those 3DR 2-star cards, a 5.75 over 2.5. There are no conditionals on Soshi either, other than early play increases his damage. And Soshi's in a clan where DR is worth its weight in gold due to its bonus. To be clear, Soshi is not very good unless you team him up with an army of other DR cards. But with that army, in T1, he can help hold your opponent's damage back, or even sneak in another round victory. His biggest issue is his high minimum, but with Poison active, even that's forgivable to me. Next, let's take a look at any extra info. Freaks have very little decent attack manipulation, though recently they have gotten a few more cards to deal with that prior issue. Regardless, look to Hugo in order to fix their attack manipulation issues. Also, Amber can help guarantee the round 1 or round 2 win that you need in order to get your poison in. Also, the basic tactics for Freaks will almost always be something like this. Pill big on round 1, old round 2, old round 3, and then all in on round 4. These olds may be filled with something with cards containing pill manipulation, attack manipulation, DR, or a combination of those 3. However, some people will also old on round 1, and then pill big on round 2, old, and then all in on round 4 as well, if their damage allows. If they have more damage, they may go for an earlier KO, because you're not going to be expecting that. Up next, let's take a look at some example decks. I'll try to cover a bunch of half decks, and then a basic outline for mono decks. Mono doesn't generally work as well for the Freaks, but that's never stopped me from trying, and it probably shouldn't stop you either. As for half decks, as an important note, lower star half decks are viable for Freaks because of their bonus, so don't be afraid to go a bit lower on the stars. Just beware your 3-1 draws that can rob you of that bonus. Perhaps one of the best non-yellow T1 half decks that I can think of would be something like Shazam, Olga, Quasi-Choco, and Archero. At 12 stars, it has an opener, a closer, versatility, and DR. As for a low star half deck, try out Shazam, Magda, Olga, and Varislav for 10 stars. If you're looking for attack manipulation, try Esmeralda, Akendrum, Leona, and Eve at 14 stars. If you're worried about SOB, Shazam, Bikini Joe LD, Archero, and Grudge for 13 stars. If you're worried about SOA, again, Shazam, Olga, Marzo, and Bogdan at 12 stars. You're looking for full anti-SOA, Bikini Joe LD, Marzo, Mira, and Olga. 12 stars. As for power manipulation, go with Magda, Boris CR, Olga, and Archero. 12 stars. For a T2 version of this, Olga, Archero, Masiej, and Hindelga at 16 stars should do the trick. If you're looking to control your opponent's bonus, why not try Shazam, Matryoshka, Bogdan, and Splata CR, 14 stars. If you're looking to DR your opponent to death, go with Soshi, Quasi-Choco, Wolfgang, and Rhino, 14 stars. If you're just looking for damage prevention, Wanold, Quasi-Choco, Wolfgang, and Dakun is also 14 stars and may do the trick a little bit better. As for T2 pill manipulation, try Verislav, Grudge, Madelon, and Baldovino. at 16 stars. If you're looking for a T1 pill manipulation, though, try Shazam, Verislav, Grudge, and Madelon for 13 stars. As for monodecks and ELO, it may look something like this. Shazam, and then Bertha, Esmeralda, and Magda, choose 1. Akendra, Matryoshka, Quasi-Choco, and Verislav, choose 3. And Arturo, Leona, Madelon, and Wolfgang, also choose 3. If you prefer to have that 5-star card, it's a bit riskier, but with the high 2-star damage that you can pull off, just beware your low-star draw. It might look something like Shazam, and then Bertha, Esmeralda, and Magda, choose 2. Akendra, Matryoshka, Quasi-Choco, and Verislav, choose 2. Arturo, Leona, Madelon, and Wolfgang, choose 2. And Baldovino, Hindelga, Rhino, and Splata CR, choose 1. As for T2, maybe try something like Baldovino, Barbacotal, Cassandra, Dakun, Hindelga, Rhino, Splata CR, if you have him, and then Arturo, Madelon, Wolfgang, Eve, and Erpeto. Choose 1 or 2 if you don't have Splata CR. Hopefully that gives you at least a few ideas, and good luck with your deck building. So, which clans will Freaks have the easiest time dispatching? Well, it really depends on the cards you draw, but perhaps in general I would say Jungo, La Junta, Pussycats, Rescue, Riots, Roots, and Sacron. These clans will have difficulty against the Freaks, since the Freaks use poison and power manipulation. The Freaks can then shut down these clans by subverting their plus life or DR with their poison, and bring the opposing clan's power below their own. However, be careful around the following clans: All-Stars, Geist, Hurricane, Montana, Nightmare, Piranhas, and Uluwatu. These clans will stop your abilities and or your bonus, and they may also be able to outpower you and go big on round 1. They may also be able to outpower you or go in big on round 1 as well, delaying your poison's effectiveness. The key to success, as always, is to make sure that you commit to and win the right rounds with the right cards. Well, this concludes my Freaks clan review. I hope you feel like you learned something and feel better prepared to both play with and against the Freaks clan. If you like this video, then feel free to like it, favorite it, and share it. I make these videos so others, including you, can learn about and enjoy Urban Rivals. Nothing makes me happier than when you guys enjoy these videos. Don't forget to leave a comment below if there's anything that you think that I forgot to mention. And while you're there, why don't you let me know which Freaks card is your favorite? And of course, don't forget to subscribe for more of my Urban Rivals videos. This is Xonia, and you've been in the zone.